Hello, everybody. This is your Vice President of AAMN and my co-host, Mr. Blake Smith, the President. Hello, Mr. President. How are you doing tonight?
How's it going? This is great.
Good.
Election night, man. Election night.
It is
well,
election.
it's not election
no,
night.
Campaign
it's
night.
election interview night.
We're on the campaign trail.
One of three.
We're on the campaign trail here. All right, with AAMN. So, I think this is an awesome opportunity for us to kind of let everybody kind of get an idea who these people are when they see those names and their email address. They see those emails come through and they're like, man, I don't know who I vote for. I don't know who these people are. Well, I guess this person, this person, and this person.
Yeah,
usually,
who reads
usually there's
anymore,
not even
right?
a picture. Okay. I know. What is that? What is reading? So tonight it's going to be awesome, man. So we got two great guys, really, really solid folks. And so I'm very glad that their name's in the hat. I think it's awesome. And I hope that you all get value from this. This is for you guys. We don't do this for any other reason. This is on our closed group page. Only people that see this are our members. We really, really want to just bring value to everybody and just, make our organization better. We want it to be better, and we want it to be better for you. So we hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for joining us tonight. Tell us a little bit about what's going on tonight, man.
So we're going to bring on two individuals, the first being Dr. David Foley and the second being Wes Osler. Both amazing leaders in their own right, have a diverse background in regards to leadership skills. Dr. David Foley will be running for an at-large member for the board of directors, and then Wesley Osler is one of two candidates for the secretary position. So we'll kind of get a taste of two different positions and kind of questions related to those aspects for those positions. And we'll do kind of 25 minutes or so in regard to the length. We don't want to cut somebody off, but this is going to be a little bit longer tonight. But, if you don't get through all of it, we're going to put it on our YouTube page for those who don't utilize Facebook, but also it will be in our video archive here so that you can access and listen to it in its entirety if you're unable to join the entire cast. So I think we should just get right into it here.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Let's go ahead and bring it. Here we go. So first off, we're going to bring Dr. David Foley on. And let me give you a little brief background. And I want to invite all of you guys that are watching, guys and gals that are watching, please take the time to ask your questions. This is the time. If you have any questions or comments, we're going to answer every one of them. So even though we have a set time that we planned on doing this, we're going to answer every question and comment that come up. So please don't hold back. This is your time to interact with those that will be leading this great organization. Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna bring on in David Foley, and you can introduce him.
Awesome.
All right.
Here he comes. Dr. David Foley is the assistant professor at the Francis Payne Bolton School of Nursing at Case Western Reserve in Cleveland, Ohio. He's also a director of faculty development, and he's also the president of the AAMN chapter there at Case Western as well. Dr. David Foley, sir, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing very well on this very cold May evening. What a dirty trick. It feels like it's like March here or something. So it's in the low 40s.
Is it really?
It absolutely is, yeah.
Oh, man. Well, you make it look hot,
was it 100 degrees in Texas?
Look hot.
Right, thank you. 2 days ago, I was mowing my back lawn in shorts at barefoot. It was 75, and now it's 42. So welcome to Cleveland, as we say. So
yeah,
that sounds like Dallas weather.
Up
and down. Well, thanks so much for making the time to be here tonight, man. We really, really appreciate it. We know you're a busy guy. You got a lot on your plate. But I know that for some time, and I think you and I have had a couple conversations about, how one could do more at the national level. So I'm glad that you've been nominated, and I'm glad to know that you're up for the task.
Thank you very much for having me. So.
Yeah,
I just wanted to share a little bit about my story. I started out as a psychiatric social worker many years ago, and then I decided to climb the corporate ladder and was in administration, doing fairly well at a local hospital and getting ready for my big promotion to administrator. And I heard, some, very disparaging remarks made about the nursing staff that was working in my area. And I had, at that point, a few hundred people working under me. And I just thought, there's something to this nursing, and I decided to go to nursing school in the evening. And I got all the way through nursing school in an evening weekend program. And I was about a month away from graduating until somebody finally outed me. I got caught by one of my administrative colleagues doing a weekend clinical on a Saturday. And he said, "What are you doing?" And so of course, I was completely outed by the next Monday. And so after I graduated, I decided I wanted to go into bedside nursing for at least 2 years to get that experience. And that's what I've told my students to do. So I got a lot out of that. I actually did 3 years, and then I went back and I became a nurse manager and eventually an administrator, and then went back for my doctorate. So, but in that evening weekend program, one of my first instructors unwittingly made a comment that brought me to this point today. There was a group of us. I was the only guy in the class. There was about 40 of us there. And she made a very negative remark about men in nursing. And I won't even say what it was. But it was one of those times in your life when you just say, I'm going to make a note to myself. You file it away for future reference that I've got to take this and turn it into a positive sometime in the future. And I just decided, I got through. We were talking, some of the clinicals were really hard for me, but I got through, and especially the ones that we would call the non-technical ones like peds and OB. And so I said, I want to do something with this, and ultimately went into education. And I'm so inspired by this organization and the chance to serve and to help take that message that there is equality of access to opportunity for everyone in nursing. And that's something that's very important to me and I feel very passionate about. So I thank you for the chance to be here tonight and share more about myself and talk about issues facing the organization and nursing in general.
That's fantastic.
So,
Mike, do you want to go first for a question and lead off the story? I mean, that was perfect, Dr. Foley. That was going to be my first question, was your background. So that's perfect.
Yeah. So, Dr. Foley, tell me, how long have you been involved in AAMN?
I have been involved in AAMN. The first, I heard about the organization a number of years ago. And at my previous academic affiliation, I attempted to organize a chapter. And I got the paperwork, and I believe I spoke with the former president, or maybe 2 presidents ago, and was really trying my best, but I didn't get a lot of support from the college. And so when I came to Case Western Reserve University 2 years ago, one of the first questions I asked was, can we start a chapter of AAMN? And the message was loud and clear, yes. And they even had student data to show that some of our male students had said, we'd like to get additional support. So I'm very proud to be affiliated with this fine institution that is just an incredible place to work. It's a real center for innovation and really seeking out inclusivity. And they really encourage me. So I've been involved with the organization for probably formally about 1.5 years. But aspirationally, I guess I could say, and have been an admirer and a follower much longer than that. So I'm happy to be here.
That's great. One, I want to dovetail off what you had said as far as the chapter there goes. Mm-hmm. I have been watching you guys. You have got some good stuff going on over there. Can you tell some of the initiatives you guys have been forwarding there?
Sure. Well, remember I mentioned taking a negative and turning it into a positive. So yeah. I saw when we got together as a chapter, one of the first things we did was I remember, Blake, you came in as, I believe, the president-elect on our first meeting, and you Skyped in and welcomed us, and that was very important to us. And I think we really knew we were in a real quality organization. So our attendance actually picked up substantially, and at the second meeting, we did a brainstorming session, very standard with giant Post-it notes, and a young man stood up, and he reminded me of myself. And he said, I want to go into a certain field in nursing, but I went home, and one of the nurses in his local community in another part of the country said, why would you want to go into that specialty? Your life's going to be difficult. People are going to make fun of you, and it's going to be a very challenging road ahead for you. So what we did is we linked him up with a nurse who happens to be male here in our local community within that specialty, and he's really giving it a lot of serious thought. But what we decided to do was we decided to do a 3-part series, and it took up the fall semester, our 3 primary meetings, on trying to create nursing identities free from gender bias. And we started out the first meeting having a very, just throwing down the gauntlet and having a very powerful alpha male leader come in. He's a military guy, and he's the chief operations officer of one of our local hospitals. But over the next two meetings, we transitioned into two other topics. And the second one was having a sustained dialogue facilitated by two trained facilitators from diversity and inclusion. And we had a very large attendance, and I was so vindicated that so many faculty came and so many students. And everyone shared about their impressions of gender identity in nursing. Why do so many men seem to defect and go over to the technical specialties? Why don't we have more men in other disciplines? And vice versa. And the third meeting we had was we actually brought in a panel discussion of three gentlemen, one of whom has worked his entire career in labor and delivery, been very successful, and he shared his story with our students. Another who's working in pediatrics, hospice, and then psychiatric mental health nursing. So I think it really sent a very powerful message to our membership here at CASE that nursing should be open for everyone. And then lastly, in the Director of Faculty Development role, I developed a module for our clinical instructors. And since that time, about 60 of our clinical instructors have attended. And it's how we can use and identify specific strategies to make sure that students of all genders feel comfortable. For example, one of our male students said he arrived for a particular specialty clinical experience and was told, there's no patients here who want you, or your patient didn't want a male nurse or something. And talking about strategies, how can we change that? How can we, not vocalize those things in front of the rest of the clinical peer group? Because that promotes a feeling of sort of being ostracized or exoticized, if you will. So we talked about, that's just one strategy we talked about, and also talked about having at least one post-conference for the clinical experience devoted to this topic. So it's been a great, and then we sort of put a closure on that first semester. And this particular semester, which is the spring semester, we called it our semester of service. And I will say I'm very inspired by the millennials and the Generation Y and all the younger folks. Very committed to social action, and they want to say, what can we do? What can we do for the community and the world around us? So we chose to pilot the Future RN program at one of our local schools systems here. And I'm sitting right now in this beautiful new building that we just moved into 2 weeks ago. But I have a sense of awareness that less than 1.5 miles, 2 miles away, there's some very impoverished areas. And those are the areas that we chose to take the Future RN program into. And I have to say, we made some powerful connections with some of the young people there. And then we also supported, it took about a year to plan, because Cleveland Clinic, wanted to meet with us and learn more about our organization and the AAMN in particular chapter. But we partnered just a few weeks ago with the Cleveland Clinic for their Men's Minority Health Fair. And we're in on the planning process. And I rode a bus back and forth with a couple of our members to local homeless shelters, bringing the men back. And for all of the services, and that was just very impressive. So it's been a powerful year. It's been an explosive year of growth and learning about ourselves, and we're really starting to get up and walk.
Yeah, and I think that's a big testament, and I've been on this journey from day one with you, Dr. Foley, when you reached out, and there's always times with new chapters where you kind of hit that wall and you're like, and you have that unknown of, are we going to make it? Are we going to sustain? Do we have the infrastructure? And it really takes that planning and that vision to make sure all the pieces are in place first. And that's really where a good chapter flourishes, because you have that. If you have that backing from the senior leadership of your institutions, you have that passion from the students and the faculty. The sky's the limit. And as all of you listen to Dr. Foley's talk, is that they started this just a little over a year ago, if not a year ago. It's right around that time period, and all the things that they've accomplished just because of the collaboration and the push that seeded from having that backing and that structure in place. And that's really what we're trying to put into national. And so I kind of segue that in is where do you see from your experiences at the chapter level as a president and kind of a founder of a chapter, how do you see that kind of translating into the national level? And what areas do you feel, and you're not going to hurt my feelings or Mike's feelings if you find the gaps, because we want you to find the gaps. Where do we need to continue to improve on, and what vision do you see being a director at large to fill those gaps, and kind of what areas are you interested in kind of leading from the board?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say I did develop a website, and I can't believe I did it, but I was able to do it. I did it on my own. I was here very frustrated, but I did it. So please visit the website. And I did articulate, and I think before I answer your question, or as part of answering your question, over my 30-year management and different career, it took me a long time to solidify what I thought my mission, my personal mission, as well as my own leadership style would be. And when I was reading in my doctoral training, we immersed ourselves in a leadership course, and I encountered the work of Robert Greenleaf, and he espoused the servant leadership model. And I just have to say, that's on the website, and there's some iconic quotes. I don't view this as an opportunity so much to lead, although I am aware that I am running for a board leadership position. I've held senior administrative positions in hospitals. I'm at a point in my life where I have a desire to serve, because so many people have helped me and mentored me along my career, and been there for me and given me advice and provided experiences and helped me build my own infrastructure. I view this really as a chance to serve. And one of the areas that I think that I could be instrumental in, because I do have a strong background in operations, is I would like to do perhaps some consultations with chapters that are just starting or just emerging and saying they have questions, and really give them some supportive encouragement and share our story with them and some of the pitfalls and some of the victories that we fell into. And I think sort of help planting seed chapters could be something that I could be instrumental in, just because, again, of that administrative background. But I guess also, when some of the other areas I identified on the website is, in my role as faculty development here, I've helped some junior faculty publish something and actually write an article. And it's so fulfilling to see someone sit down with an idea and say, I want to write about this. And it could be, for example, an issue about men in nursing. And then they come back, we work on it and it gets submitted, it gets accepted. And then they come back 6 months, 8 months later, and they've got it in their hand. And I just had a lady come and show me that it was published. So I think that there's probably a lot of our membership out there who may have some really good ideas. And I've been facilitating writing workshops, or I should say co-facilitating, with the associate dean all year. And we get together and we bounce ideas off each other. We have a peer review process, and we're able to we've been very successful. I kind of came in about 2/3 of the way through the process, but there's been 92 peer-reviewed publications published as a result of those writing workshops. Wow. So we could even take some of those ideas and get some of our members out there to publish teaching strategies, editorials, anything, just to get AAMN represented a little more effectively in the literature. I think that's something else that I could bring to the mix and would be happy to do so. I even suggested maybe having a virtual, and I'm sure there's many other people in the organization who have this expertise, but maybe doing like an online virtual writing workshop that we could sponsor and see if that might be an innovation we could bring to the table. Just 2 ideas.
Hey, I have a question, Mike, that came from Dr. Bly, Michael Bly, who you may or may not know, Dr. Foley, very well-respected and long-standing member of AMN. And he thinks that, impressive background. He's loving what you're saying and what we're doing to sustain and build our organization. And he really wants to know from your administrative background, what the AMN and any nonprofit organization, you always struggle for resources. All revenue and everything comes from a multiple of avenues. And what our case model, as we kind of pitched last year, is we have to stop depending solely on membership revenue, because no one can operate on membership revenue. What we should be doing is what kind of resources and revenue we can provide business wise so that our members can flourish and provide the value to our members to seek out the things that they're trying to get out of our organization. What are some things that you may have or thought of any reflection from a business sense of how we can bring in a diverse revenue sources for the operational aspects of AAMN, so we can expand on many of the things that you're talking about.
Well, just two thoughts that come to mind is, first would be expanding corporate sponsorships. If you have, I believe I've seen some corporate sponsorships or cooperative efforts, perhaps expanding those and increasing the organization's visibility through those corporate sponsorships. My experience in the past is the two sort of feed off of each other because you sort of begin to feature each other. The other would be possibly exploring grants. And that is something that I'm sure, out of curiosity, I'd ask both of you, has the organization explored obtaining much grant funding at this point?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, I can't speak past 3 years in history because I was not on the board and I've only been a member for about 5 years. But that's something that's come to my mind recently is, why aren't we touching on, especially, I mean, even I'm alum, the first one that comes to my mind all the time because I'm alum, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation's Culture of Health. There's so many things that from the male caregiver role, the lay caregiver role, and we are starting to work with AARP. We're starting to launch off the ground efforts to put groups of AAMN and AARP together to come up with actual tangible awareness campaigns, but also materials given out and used through vectors and vehicles that are specific to the male realm of where they go and get their information, not only to take care of themselves, but how do they take care of their loved ones? And we're really seeing the preventative side of health. And so those two come to my mind right off the bat, of these big entities that are always looking for unique opportunities. That was kind of, I'm so glad you brought that up grant wise. Now, I have no experience in grants. I would love to get that experience. And personally, I'm supportive of that. I just don't know how that works with nonprofits. But again, I know that it's possible. It's been done. But I think we do need to explore that. And I appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
And one thing that I've learned working at an institution, such as CASE, is grant writing it's a team sport. It definitely is a team sport. Is that I've seen there's a very well-oiled machine that, the grant is identified and there's a planning meeting. They look at the call for the grant and they, are we able to meet the call? And then different people are assigned to write different parts of the grant based on their expertise and budget expertise and so forth. And then ultimately they keep an eye on time frames and then they get it submitted. So it's definitely, again, just with publishing, many people write by a team approach. So is grant writing. I also would be remiss if I didn't mention that, increasing revenue is only one half, I guess, of the financial picture, but also keeping an eye on costs. And making sure that we explore as a group the most cost-effective ways to be judicious stewards of the members' money, I think, is the other aspect of that I think that I've had quite a bit of experience with in the past.
Awesome.
That's very, very good. So listen, before we wrap up this part of the segment, your time on the floor, we want to give you just a couple extra minutes if you'd like to include something that we have not asked that you'd like to at least make known, or, if there's anything special you'd like to say to our listeners. Well, you have the floor.
Yes, I just wanted to say that, again, taking that initial seed that an instructor unwittingly planted in me, well over 20 years ago. I have authored 3 publications in the Ohio Nurses Review, and my doctoral research, which I think is another offshoot of my desire for equality and inclusivity in nursing. I wrote about promoting success for diverse groups of students, and I identified students of color, male students, and students with limited English proficiency, and looking at what a longitudinal study and what factors could we do to increase NCLEX success for those students. One of the recommendations from those that offshoot was to do some publications about recommending strategies for those groups. And I just recently authored a 3-part series in the Ohio Nurses Review, and one of them was called Beyond Feminism: Strategies for Promoting the Success of Male Students. So if anyone has a chance to Google that, I also want, as soon as I get a moment, I'm going to upload those publications to my website. along with some other publications I've written. And that's sort of sharing that knowledge is important. And if I could just leave the readers with one thought, anytime someone puts a barrier in our path, I think it's always a great thing to just say note to self, remain calm, and then start planning for the future. So I would be most honored to be part of AAMN's future. I have been very extraordinarily inspired by the vitality and the integrity of the AAMN senior leadership, and I would consider it an honor to serve with you. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Foley. It'd be an honor to serve with you as well. So at this time, we'll bid adieu to Dr. Foley, and we will see you hopefully in Orlando, right?
Absolutely.
Is it on your calendar already?
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
All right.
Well, we will see you soon.
Thanks.
Have a great night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. One
Great
down.
interview.
Man, that was a
Great
good one.
interview.
We got another good
I hope
one.
you guys are enjoying this. This is a treat for me. It definitely is a treat for me. I hope everybody's liking this. Dr. Foley, thank you, sir. That was awesome. And so now we're going to bring up our next guest. And tonight, guys, we're only having 2 guests, but we have some more coming up later on. Let's see, next week. Do we have we have another interview
Tuesday
this week?
and Wednesday.
Okay, what is this? Tuesday and Wednesday next week.
And then we may have another one during the day that Mike's going to work with.
We are going to have one during the day sometime. I need to reach out to that person, and we will lock that in, and I'll let everybody know.
All right. You want to read? Excuse me. You want to read the next guest we have?
It would be my pleasure, sir. So, Mr. Wesley Osler is the president of the National Student Nurses Association. Is responsible for membership engagement, inter-organizational collaboration, and internal governance. Okay. He's also an undergraduate nursing student at the Christ College of Nurse and Health Sciences in Cincinnati, Ohio, and he graduates almost immediately. Coming up pretty soon, buddy.
I think you did, didn't you?
Yeah, last Saturday.
There it is. There it is. Congratulations. Congratulations. And he's also a twice Shirley Topher scholarship for academic achievement and plans on going to the U.S. Navy Nurse Corps in the immediate future. Is that true?
It's definitely on the road for sure. You know, there's a lot of stuff that comes with doing that, and there's some obstacles I had to clear on my end, but it's still on the agenda for sure.
Wow. Well, that's awesome, man. Awesome. You have really got it going on right now, man. You got a lot of good things there. You look excited. You look like there's no stress, man. There's just no stress in your life, right?
There's no stress. Oh, good God. I have to take the NCLEX.
Oh, okay. That's where we're at right now. You haven't done that yet? You're supposed to do that day one, man. You're supposed to graduate. Boom. NCLEX. Done.
Yeah. Well, I know you all understand. So, hi, everyone. My name's Wesley Osler. I'm running for AAMN secretary. Like Michael just said, I'm a brand new, I'm not a nurse yet. I haven't passed the test, but
it's coming.
It's coming, God willing. I graduated on Saturday. You know, I'm new to nursing, but I'm not new to leadership. For the past 3 years, I've been involved with the National Student Nurses Association. I've worked doing everything from a school chapter secretary, working on bylaws, making sure we're in compliance with the national level, to serving on the state board, working on election oversight to the national presidency, where I oversaw, working on health policy and planning all of our events for the year. So now I'm running for AAMN secretary to take these skills I have in association management, conference planning, and communication into another organization. And so, nursing has kind of always been my life. I grew up as the son of 2 nurses. And if you're wondering, my parents met in a scene of classic romance. That's right. They were suctioning an airway.
That's hilarious.
My mom was holding the suction, and my dad said, "Hey, what are you doing later?" Because he thought then would be a good time. And here I am all these years later.
Awesome.
But, thank you to wishing me congrats in the comments. I see.
You got a lot of some people saying congratulations here.
Yeah, well, I'm as amazed as anyone that I made it. But
whatever, no doubt.
I'm running this organization to give back. Leadership is ultimately about service, and Dr. Foley made a great point about that. That the real leaders of AMN, it's nobody on this call. It's not me if I'm elected. The real leaders are the people watching this video right now. Mm-hmm. It's everyone out there who's doing the work of men in nursing every day, in our school chapters and our state chapters, and us too. But all of us are in this as a team, and leaders have to be listeners. So I'm running for secretary to be a listener.
That's awesome, man.
Awesome.
That's
and
really
I'd like to expand on that because I was so impressed. I kind of had my eyes set on you about a year ago when I saw, because we've always had a partnership with the National Student Nurses Association. And as soon as I became president-elect, the first thing I did is I was like, I see this partnership, but other than a $5 discount, where's this partnership? And so, I started reaching out to Wes and we started, just having some preliminary discussions. And when he said that he was going to be finishing his presidency, I think, when was that? In April or March?
Ago.
Yeah. So you were free and clear to be had to fill in another position, and just to know that his leadership style and kind of he was having a discussion with Brent about kind of where he wanted to be within this whole grand scheme of things and what he should run for, and at large member, that's great, but his skill set. Brent kind of bounced off me. Would you like to possibly see Wesley in that role? And I said, well, you're talking about somebody who ran an organization for 60,000 people. That's more than what I'm even doing. And he's ran huge events that, as we grow as an organization, that is really where we've got to have those logistical things in place and making sure that our conference planning and our website, all those things continue to grow and continue to innovate. And so I'm curious, from your experience as the president of NSNA, what are some just examples? What are some things you've learned in that presidency role in regards to conference logistics? That would be a very big key role that you play if you're elected secretary.
Sure. So the NSNA, we plan our conferences and conventions. We have 2 conventions every year. We have a mid-year career planning conference around November, and we have our annual convention, which is where we do our elections and our bylaws and everything like that. So we start planning for that about 4 or 5 years in advance. Because the closer you get to booking an event, the harder locations come to become defined, the more the cost goes up. So really, the sooner you start, the better. And you can save a lot of money. So we have to weigh, different items like, well, we could put the convention in this city because it's, a very popular destination, but it's also really expensive. And our members are nursing students who, I don't need to tell you, aren't made of money. Not that nurses are.
For sure.
So we have to weigh variables like what can students afford and how many members can come. Like, let's say we put it in a city like San Diego, and I love San Diego, and we had our mid-year there a few years ago. But it's kind of an expensive city too. The same thing with New York or Philadelphia. So, we weigh that against location. We had a convention in Nashville. We had a mid-year planning conference in Louisville. Those are great locations because they're very central. And that's good for students because, you can drive from all over to get to Nashville. But at the same time, it's good for exhibitors. So you can get more hospitals and health networks and recruiters who want to come to our conventions because they're students there. More colleges, who might be wanting to get people into their RN to BSN programs or their masters or their doctorates. So, it really is a lot of variables to weigh. And as the board, it's our job to weigh those variables and make a decision on where we're going to negotiate to have convention.
That's exactly. And I like the way that that's kind of where we're trying to go, is trying to get ahead of the curve. Because as we all know, our conference this year, even though the destination is absolutely amazing, in my opinion, and very cost effective, even though we are in a very big destination, our weekend wasn't, the most ideal. And we realized that, and over Halloween. But at the same time, that's kind of, what we were dealt with how we went ahead and tried to book, and we're only about a year in advance. So I think that's great input in regard to, we need to be looking 1 or 2, even 2 years ahead now, it sounds like, to see if you can find some savings for our fiscal responsibility, and we can go to maybe a larger destination city if you put it way out in advance, because they want to make sure that they start booking those weekends. And so I think that's a great point.
He's not, Blake, the guy's not even elected, and he's already offering value. Right, I got to go back to the drawing board here. When we're finished with this, I got to jot this stuff down. right? We got some more planning to do.
It's all about, value for the members, because, we want to, sometimes these conferences are about work. They're very serious, but,
Sure.
For our convention, I was in Salt Lake City. Oh, gorgeous place, Salt Lake City. I
agree.
love Salt Lake City, love Utah. And, it's all about, the educational part too, but you also, where you can do nice things for your members, like take them to a just gorgeous part of the country. That's also part of the equation too. You're allowed to be happy in leadership.
Absolutely. So let me ask you, how long have you been involved in AAMN?
So I have been a member for 2 years. So
okay.
I can't deny that other people have decades on what I have, but it's been a good 2 years. My chapter, the AAMN of Christ College, had gone inactive for a few years. It kind of fallen by the wayside. And I worked with a great board of all students. We're completely student run and student led. All of our members, our board is all students. And we kind of rebuilt the chapter. I served as secretary treasurer, which is a lot of hats to wear. Yeah. And, I took that experience and we really worked to rebuild our chapter. We completely redid our bylaws. We, looked at our finances to make sure we weren't spending more than we were, taking in through dues, which is always, kind of finance 101. And we did a lot of community outreach. We had, one of those just basic things where we had a bake sale in the college and we donated the proceeds to a local food pantry, or another time we donated to the Wounded Warrior Project. So my service in AAMN, I'm very proud of it. I know it's just starting out. I've got years and years and years to go, and I hope to stay involved in the AAMN. But it's been all about giving back, and it's the same reason I'm running.
Well, we're excited to have you, man. We're excited to just have you as a member, and just having you as a member, man. You offer just tremendous value, and we're really, really happy to get to know you and get to have you here. I have a question about your military service. What's drawing you to the military?
Well, my grandpa was in the Navy. He was in Korea, and he passed away before I ever knew him. So in a way, it's kind of a way of getting closer to his legacy and memory. But it's also, again, I feel like a broken record here, but I have to say it's about service.
Sure.
Serving in the military is something that you can only do for a certain period of your life. It's not something I can go do when I'm, 20 or 30 years from now. So, right now I have a wonderful job that I love very much. I just got a job at the Mayo Clinic, so I'm very happy about that. But, my long-term plan in my heart is still to join the Navy and to serve our country like so many. I know we have veterans on our board and veterans who are candidates. So, I just want to give back and serve the same way that others have given back and served.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
And I can't agree more. And I'm loving what I'm hearing tonight in regards to, and I completely agree. This is not the positions we hold and why we have so much passion for them and why we do them day in and day out is for members. It's not for ourselves. If I was doing it for myself, from all the hours that, taking away from my two little girls and trying to fit that all in, that the value would not be there. The value that's there is when you see those individuals, that when you pay it forward and you see them succeed, that the feeling that you get from it is just absolutely amazing. And so to hear Dr. Foley and you just come right out front, and we may sound like a broken record, but that's really what it's about. It is about service, and that really aligns with where the board is now and where we're going. And so I'm really glad to hear about that. Now I wanted to kind of have a question. I know we talked about conference planning. Another aspect is, and I know this is something you're very passionate about, is providing transparency of governance through information and availability. And obviously, the main platform for that nowadays is via social media and our website. And so I wanted to get your thoughts on, the current state of kind of where our transition is, knowing that we just changed to a new platform and a new website, but how we can build upon that website and what you've can draw on your past experience in that regard of always increasing our transparency and our communication with our members and making sure that it really truly is led by members and not by a certain few individuals on the board.
Sure. So I think that's absolutely, one of the key competencies, not just of secretary, but any leader, is communication, clarity, And social media is a huge part of that. I think you guys have done a bang up job with the podcast. I think this is a great way to keep us in touch with the members. It's very town hall-ish, because any member of AMN can just show up and ask a question, no matter what. So that's democracy in action. I love that. So I would want to keep doing the podcast. I know we're on a new website. And I'm preaching to the choir here, there are some links that are broken on the website. We have a very proud history. The AMN's about to turn 50 in 3 years from now, but you can't read the history if you try and go to the website, and you also can't find who's on the board right now, which, you guys are aware of. We're working on it, but my biggest goal, one of my goals as secretary, is to make us more accessible by patching up some of these links. And if anyone is wondering whether or not I know how to handle a website, well, then let me just direct you to wesleyosler.com. It's my website. You can read. You like that transition?
Yeah,
I love the plug.
Great.
That was like you've done that before, man. That was awesome.
Man, that was professional. That was really good.
To, my website, wesleyosler.com. You can see my background, my vision, and you can find all the ways to reach out to me personally. But I think that I want to rebuild the website, get more of our information available. I want to see all the committees listed and all the chairs of the committees and how to reach out with them. Like, if I want to reach out to the chair of bylaws, then there's the email right there. Or if I want to reach out to the president, then there's the email right there. I mean, you guys do a great job on your own of making yourselves accessible, but sometimes part of the equation is finding you. So I want to make us more accessible, easier to find from just anyone on the internet who looks us up. So accessibility is key in that.
Very good. Very good. Hey, so we're going to give you just a few more minutes to say anything that we haven't asked you, some things that you really wanted to bring up. We'll give you just a couple minutes, 2 minutes, and then we're going to let you go.
All right. Sounds great. So just for these last 2 minutes, I'll just give you my goals if elected secretary. So key among them is recruitment. I want to recruit more students into our organization. I think that when you start early and when you start with education, you create lifelong learners, you create lifelong leaders. So I want to get more students into our organization. And, my background as a leader of students at the school, state, and national level qualifies me, to hopefully be very effective at this. I also want to make us more accessible, which we've talked about. And going back to service, the best leaders have to be listeners. They care about the ones they lead over themselves. And let's talk about this. I want to raise awareness of the issues that affect not just men in nursing, but the profession to which we belong as men in nursing. Michael, you talked on the last podcast about this nurse in Louisiana who was killed by a patient. The Department of Labor Statistics, they tell us that nurses are more likely to be assaulted than corrections officers. 1 in 4 nurses are going to be assaulted during their career. And I think that number's soft because we're not reporting it.
No, there's a lot. I haven't reported.
Never reported anytime.
Exactly. So I think that we have a vital stake. We have an important role to play as a nursing organization, not just to talk about the issues that affect men, although we should. Issues like mental health are key, but to also talk about the issues that affect nursing.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think you're right, spot on, and I think that's what you can see we're starting to flourish. We're getting that we're getting a snowball effect in our membership and recruitment is because we're starting to diversify our policy and what we stand for. Of course, we stand for men in nursing. Of course, we want to see and be able to recruit more men of great skill set that has that unique skill set that makes a great nurse, not just a random men, but of people of all walks of life and genders that have the skill sets to be a nurse to be here. And that's really the pursuit of parity. And that's why we're going that direction, but also taking a stand in regards to caregiving and preventative health and our role and being able to teach our fellow men, and also human trafficking and being men in our society and the toxic the toxic realm of where men are seen in our society. And we, as being in the most trusted profession, can be examples of true men in our society for people to look up to as role models. And in order for us to do that, we have to be out front and center and be at the front in social media and any type of vehicle and platform to show that there is great men out there. And those are the individuals you should be wanting. Little boys and little girls should be looking up to nurses and seeing that though I may not be a nurse, that's the integrity and the passion and the service that you should be striving for in your role in society and whatever you go into. So I just want to thank you for being here. Mike and I love these talks with new individuals all the time, and we know that this won't be the last one with you. And my last question always is are you signed up for the conference yet?
Not yet, but I'm going to. I'm going to see you all in Orlando.
The dude hasn't even
right.
got his NCLEX yet, man. Let him get his NCLEX in.
He'll get it. I got confidence. He doesn't have to worry about it.
Of course he's going to make it. I'm just saying. I mean, he doesn't have the money to buy the conference yet. Let's give the guy some slack. Hey, man, Wesley, you did awesome, dude. Awesome. Thanks so much for taking time. And you should be studying right now. So we really, really appreciate you, man. And it's been a pleasure, a real pleasure.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you later, Les.
Take care, buddy. All right, man. That was great.
Yeah,
man, this is the first two, they raised the bar pretty high.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, and you know what, and for, the Leadership Succession Committee, led by Brent McWilliams, I think he's just done an absolutely amazing job bringing in some really diverse, inclusive individuals that no matter where we go, everybody has some sort of future leadership role within this organization. And so what stinks and what kind of hurts my heart already is I know all these individuals and read up about them is that, 3 out of the 5 at-large members and 1 out of the 2 are going to be on the board. But I guarantee you, we're going to need everybody no matter what. And what's nice is there's election every year. So I think our future is very bright. And I can't be more proud of all of these individuals stepping up, but also for all of you who have taken the time to watch live and those who are going to watch afterwards. The best thing we can do is be as educated in our decisions for the future of AMN. And I'm just so excited to work with everybody moving forward. This is going to be really fun.
Here. I totally agree. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so that just for everybody who, who's to come next week, you got to bring it. Because these guys did a fantastic job. You're going to have to really, really bring it. And we look forward to it. This is going to be
Tuesday at 7 p.m., May 14th, and Wednesday, May 15th at 7 p.m. Central Time as well. We'll have 1 individual on Tuesday and 2 individuals on Wednesday.
Awesome,
so we're looking forward to it.
And I'm going to go ahead and post both of their website links in the comments sections below. So that way, anybody who maybe they didn't jot down whenever they gave their link, all they got to do is go in the comments. It'll be there, guys.
All right. Well, everybody have a great night. I know it's been long, but hey, we're under an hour and we said 30 minutes apiece. That's like first time ever. So you guys don't get used to it. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a great night.
Take care.